Welcome to 1500ESPN.com. Andrew Kramer and Derek Wetmore out at Winter Park, where the big news today is the Vikings announced their quarterback early this week.
Yeah.
Matt Cassel will start against the Baltimore Ravens in Baltimore, mild stomping grounds. Christian Ponder, left the game with concussion symptoms, and they apparently are willing to make their all but announcement. They said more than likely. What did you hear from the press conference from both Matt Cassel and Leslie Frazier today on the quarterback decision?
Well, basically, Matt Cassel's relieved that he actually gets a full week of practice and a whole game to show what he can do after his October 13th loss to the Carolina Panthers, which was his last start. So it's been about 2 months ago. Now he'll get the start again. But basically, they said Christian Ponder did not pass the baseline testing needed and the steps after that the NFL requires you to be able to get onto the field and practice following a brain injury like a concussion. Now that just gives Matt Cassel the clear start. They said it's a long shot Ponder dresses up or is even active for this game. They said Frazier said even if he practices on Thursday, we'll see, but we're not planning on it. So Josh Freeman is going to be active for just the third time in about, I think, 9 games since joining the Vikings on Sunday when they traveled to Baltimore. So he'll be the backup to Matt Cassel. And I think it's a good move. Regardless of the injury or what happens, I think they needed to make that move to Cassel. Or if they don't have the faith in Josh Freeman, make the move to Cassel because he threw for 240 yards in those 3 quarters that he played on Sunday, which would be the third quarter, fourth, and overtime. And only 3 performances have happened all season where the Vikings have thrown for over 240 yards, and that was all Matt Cassel. So the Vikings need to get that passing game going. We know Greg Jennings likes it, so We'll see what happens.
Well, and on the Freeman front, we talked to him in the locker room, and before we knew that he would be likely the backup this Sunday. And not to throw him under the bus, but his message is mixed. It was very cryptic and unclear. He talked about, he's defending the coaches in saying that, well, it's up to them. They can choose whatever they want at quarterback. Grasping an NFL offense is a very difficult thing. So then the natural question in response was, well, was it fair of them to throw you then into the game against the Giants on Monday night after only 4 practices? And he said, yeah, totally. I felt like I was ready. So we still, even the reporters out at Winter Park, aren't really sure what's going on at the quarterback decision. But at least this week they made their call on Wednesday, and we don't have to wait around until Friday to figure out who will start. Other news on the Vikings front, middle linebacker. They've announced that Audie Cole will be the starter, moving Aaron Henderson back over to the weak side linebacker. You remember he played 2 seasons there before transitioning to the mic this offseason. Andrew, not only just from this Sunday and the rest of the season, but what does this mean for the Vikings at middle linebacker going forward?
Well, it really means they've given up on the Aaron Henderson experiment. Now, it took personal reasons that they say are separate from a DWI arrest on November 19th for him to miss that Green Bay game for Audie Cole to step in and start. And they liked what they've seen so much that they're not going to take him out of that spot. They don't want to stunt his growth at all, hoping that he's on an upward trajectory. He's going to keep getting better as he has in these 2 games. Now with Aaron, he's going to move back to the weak side linebacker where, as you said, he played 2 seasons before this one. He filled in for Ben Lieber when Ben Lieber didn't come back to the Vikings. And so Frazier said he likes what he sees out of Aaron as far as his attitude toward this switch. He said he took it as well as you could expect. Now, Aaron's a very firm, strong-headed guy. He's not one that you would expect to take this position, this switch well, especially when he was so stout in the offseason when people questioned his ability to fill in at the middle. He made a lot of tackles. He was their leading tackler when they when he switched it in for Cole, but at the same time, he wasn't making the splash plays that you see out of Audie, and you see the sacks and you see the tackles for losses. So that was a necessary switch, in my opinion, and it was something that they're going to do moving forward, at least for this game.
Well, and it's a demotion, right? I mean, he's moving off of the captain of the defense to an easier position.
Well, he's still a starter, but yeah, at the same time, I'm sure if you asked Aaron, he would consider it a demotion, yes.
Alongside the rest of the defense, we also got news from Chris Cook and Kevin Williams. We'll get to the bad news first before finishing on the good. Chris Cook, what did Frazier have to say about it?
Yeah, basically, Frazier said he talked to Cook, told him the same message he told us on Monday, just basically poise, composure. In the 4th year, we shouldn't have to tell you these kind of things. But basically, Chris Cook expects a hefty fine from the NFL for getting ejected for touching a ref. He didn't have much of an excuse like Green Bay's Tramon Williams did, thinking he was pushing a Lions, whether that was true or not. But bottom line, he knew he was pushing a ref. He did it. He got ejected. He's expecting a hefty fine. Now let's go back to the good news.
Yeah, as for the good news, veteran locker room leader, really, Kevin Williams, he's receiving an award from the Vikings today.
He is, the Ed Block Courage Award. Every NFL team names one, and they send them to somewhere, I believe. But regardless, Kevin Williams is named that the oldest, most tenured Viking. He's been here 11 years. By far, and he, as much as people want to say he's deteriorating, he's still playing 70% of the snaps and taking that 3 technique well. And of course, as you remember, taking the going to nose tackle for a few games and taking a beating in there. So his peers voted him into this position. Adrian Peterson won it last year. It's a award highly coveted by players around here.
Mixed bag at Winter Park today. Keep checking back to 1500ESPN.com for all of your updates. For Andrew Kramer, I'm Jarek Wetmore. Thanks for watching.